Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me here today. It's good to be back with the CUNY folks. I am a alumni of CUNY's particular Baruch College, and also it's good to see some RAPP comrades on here as well as we work alongside them. So I, as was said, I'm a member of the campaign to bring Mumia home here in New York, and it's really interesting to see the connections between the activism work in the streets and then coming back with CUNY to do for them, demanding that they do what's right by divesting. So the campaign to bring Mumia home and its importance. So really quickly, the campaign was established to bridge the gap between the older and younger generations of the broader international movement to free Mumia. That speaks to our significance in part because this movement, often led by PAM Africa of the International Concerned Family and Friends of Mumia, Abu-Jamal, that movement spans 40 years this December. So at every turn and every crisis, we continue to help Mumia stay alive by stepping up and fighting for him. And so another thing is, why is abolition important in freeing all political prisoners? Well, abolition is hugely important because you cannot free political prisoners without going to the root causes. First, we live in a country that glorifies free speech and law and order, yet it says it doesn't have political prisoners. Political prisoners are such because they bring truth to light. The truth is the project of American empire. And that project includes the failure of capitalism, systemic racism, police terrorism, lack of employment, lack of housing, lack of medical care, and that list goes on and on and on. We cannot create a more humane and fair society without uprooting its corrupt and evil roots. Therefore, freeing all political prisoners and even freeing ourselves require reimagining a new society where punishment isn't the answer, and instead the alternative of restorative justice and humane resources and actually full access to those resources can over time abolish the prisons and also create a more livable world. So how can CUNY support the fight to free all political prisoners? And that's really an important question, because I'm listening to everyone speak, and it's clear that the CUNY students are taking things into their own hands and making things happen. And that's just hugely important because that's how change begins. Mumia always emphasizes that change really starts with the youth and going forward and giving them the space to do what they're doing. So to see that happening today and to hear everyone speak so powerfully is really, really important. So one of the things that would be amazing to see is CUNY students being able to lock arms, and the faculty and the staff being able to lock arms and speak up with us and doing whatever they can to demand justice for Mumia and all political prisoners, but also for all oppressed people living amongst us. Staying silent is simply not an answer. Even an event like this is a big, great step. One of the things would be great is to host film screenings and political education classes on campus. That's always a great way to bring awareness to these issues that many people aren't aware of. I came across Mumia's name and his case in the Baruch classroom, and till this day, I continue to organize directly with that professor, Professor Johanna Fernandez, and other professors who wants to see changes in our society. So, the message for the heads of CUNY, again, like what has been beautifully said, again, is to stop censoring our voices, stop censoring the everyday folks who are out here, Black and brown, going about our business and trying to make a living. Stop censoring our voices and suppressing our efforts in changing things. And one of the other things they could think of is to support political prisoners and stand on the side of justice. It was said so beautifully before that you cannot say one thing and yet do another. That's just hypocritical. And I do agree that those heads should be held accountable. So standing on the side of justice and stop supporting these for-profit prisons would be a big step on CUNY's part. And recently, I'm just going to end with what's been happening with Mumia and his health situation. So many people may know that, of course, the public health crisis of COVID-19, especially within the prisons, has affected Mumia and many other prisoners greatly. And Mumia actually received a COVID-19 positive test in March. And at the same time, he had developed congestive heart failure. So just 2 days ago, he had emergency heart surgery, and people should know he's doing fine. But again, not having the doctor of your choice deal with you and not being able to be outside and be free in the spaces where you can get proper medical care is not good. So Mumia ultimately has to continue to recover within a prison industrial complex that does not want to see him alive. So with all of this being said, this is all due to the very horrible medical conditions inside the prisons, especially for aging prisoners. And for Mumia, who's turning 67 this Saturday, that's a huge deal. So we're having an all-out weekend, Freedom Weekend, this weekend in Philadelphia and across other states. We're asking people to join us out in Philadelphia, to join the march on Saturday. And also, if you have other friends, organizers in other states who would like to do something this weekend, definitely try and do something, because ultimately, if we don't free Mumia, he will die in prison, right? So we're asking everyone to join forces with us. Any more questions or concerns, people can definitely email bringmumiahome@gmail.com. And I'll also place the link of all the activities this weekend around Mumia in this chat. So again, thank you for having me. And it's great to be in a space like this fighting for justice. Thank you.